I like to think of nutrition in terms of building blocks. So you got building block type nutrients, and then you got energy type nutrients.
Okay.
So the building blocks are going to be your minerals, your vitamins, the different compounds around the body, or that just exist in nature that are critical for your body to perform all these different functions, right? And then so the energy aspect is not the minerals, not the vitamins. It's more the carbs, the fats, the protein, those things that have actual energy to them that give your body like ATP and all that type of stuff to actually churn the systems, you know? So thinking about it like that, I want to incorporate as many building blocks as I can, because in this day and age, all the food devoid of nutrients, devoid of all the things that our body actually needs, and higher in concentration in all that energy.
What's up, y'all? We're back for another LT360 podcast. Today I'm joined by, once again, another South Florida fitness professional, someone that I've never had a true conversation with, never met in person officially. So this is our first time conversing, and I'm really excited to have him on. He is one hell of an athlete. He is a professional high jumper. He's also a wellness entrepreneur. We graduated college the same year. And he also is a fan of and is familiar with the Northeast. So we have on today Stefan Duvivier, which I'm amped I got that name right. So what's up, Stefan, man? I see you're rocking the Tufts basketball shirt too.
Oh yeah. Always repping that. So I did basketball in college as well. I think that honestly set the stage for my track career, because started off with basketball. I was in high school sophomore year. They told me, "Hey, come try this out. Come out to the track." They brought me out, and I wasn't half bad. So I continued with it and kind of just made it a living now.
Yep. And where did paint the picture? Where did you grow up and where did you go to high school?
Yeah, so I grew up here down in South Florida, Broward County specifically. I went to Cardinal Gibbons High School, a little private high school. We were decent at sports, rivaled like St. Thomas, Pinecrest, some other people might have heard of. But yeah, I went there, grew up. I was honestly really blessed to be growing up in this warm, sunny place, because going to New England when I was 18 was a shock. Was a shock to my body, to my mind, everything.
When you saw snow for the first time, I saw that look on so many of my teammates' faces, because they're the same thing. They came from South Florida, and they were like, "This is different. What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, man. And that first year I was over there too was the year there was all these blizzards. So we had like probably 10, 15 days, like snow days off from school.
2014, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, I remember that year. That was crazy. There was like 4 days in a row. There was like 3 different storms where for 4 days we didn't even like leave our dorm rooms. We were just
exactly.
We were playing video games and walking to the food hall, and that was it.
Exactly. It was some wild times, man. It was some wild times.
So you ended up, what did you study up there?
I studied biology, so I was on a pre-med track. But senior year, I realized I'm not really sure about this whole med school thing. But I was still glad that I was immersed in the sciences, because since I was a kid, I've always been super interested in like the human body, and just like its physiology and psychology and like all those different aspects of it.
Hell yeah. It's the one thing that I want to know the most about, undoubtedly, the human body. It's everything we are. It's everything we have the potential to be. It's
exactly
limitless, for lack of a better term, right?
I see what you did there.
So, you ended up playing basketball and ran track and did your high jumping at Tufts. Is it? So that's 4
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. My last year though, actually, I didn't play basketball.
Okay.
I played for the first 3 years, but decided to kind of devote all my energy into track the last year because I was kind of doing this thing where I would split my season because track is 2 seasons. I feel like
Yeah.
most people don't know. There's an indoor season and then there's an outdoor season. And so with basketball, I was missing the indoor season of track every year, and that's a really important time to kind of build your base for what you're going to do later on in the season,
Mm-hmm.
in the outdoor season. So missing that was honestly like a huge thing for me. So senior year, I decided like, hey, let me put everything into track, put all my marbles here, and ended up indoor season winning that national championship in hydro.
Okay. So that was well worth it. 100%.
Yeah. Exactly.
Put all your
Exactly.
marbles in one place, and it reaped the benefits for sure. So
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
what so post grad, where was your mindset? What were you like? What were you coming out of senior year with the intention of? Like obviously, I'm assuming it was like, all right, move back down to South Florida, or was it stay there, try to find a job? I don't know. Well, paint that picture for me.
Yeah. So actually, I moved to New York right after I finished school. So I didn't have a job lined up. Like I had no money being made. But luckily, my sister had already kind of established herself in New York. So she was there. She let me move into her apartment. I was just bumming it there for a little bit. But it was a good time because like I exposed myself to like all New York has to offer, all the griminess and polluted streets. But
Yo,
besides that,
New
that's
York
just a
is the
negative.
only New York is the only city I've been to that has a distinct smell, bro. I've never I've never smelt anything like that. But
Yeah,
that's
yo,
crazy because I didn't
yeah.
even know that, but we have almost identical stories. So
Oh, word.
when I graduated, I stayed I went back to my dad's house for 2 months. I did not work. I didn't have a job. I still had some forms of income online, and I was basically had my mindset on moving to South Florida. My sister had moved here 4 years ago or 4 years previously and had established
Yeah.
herself. And I ended up sleeping on my sister's couch for 9 months and figuring it out. It's
Yeah.
hard. So
Yeah,
that's
that's the way to do it sometimes, man. I mean, if you have the resources, like the family to help you, if it's gonna set you up for success later, like I always recommend people do that.
dude, take the opportunity, take the chance, figure it out as you go on a whim, right?
Yeah,
You learn the most.
exactly.
It,
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I grew and learned a shit ton in my time in New York for sure. Met a lot of people that are currently helping me and that I know are going to help me in the future, and vice versa. So it was a great experience for sure.
No, and I feel the same exact way, man. When you involve yourself in a community or a place or an atmosphere that you have no recollection of and you don't have people there, you undoubtedly find yourself having to network and having to go talk to people, having to be in uncomfortable situations, having to learn how to navigate
Definitely.
things. So it definitely goes a long way. It helps with self growth and self kind of self finding in a sense, right?
Absolutely.
Feeling those.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then what drove you back down to South Florida?
Quarantine. so,
Okay.
uh, so at it was 2 years in New York when quarantine kind of hit, like Marchish, just sort of 2 years, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna stay in this tiny apartment,
Yeah.
packed in like a sardine with all these other people, and in the cold on top of that. There's no way I was gonna stay in New York." So luckily enough, I had my mom's place to kind of just move back to in Broward and Fort Lauderdale. Stayed there for a couple months, got my feet kind of like together. Like I was already doing the online business and whatnot, like making money mostly through like remote clients.
Yep.
But it was still an adjustment, you know, because completely new city, completely new place. So I got my footing there and then moved into my apartment now in the background of this video on Las Olas.
Oh,
So
you're on Las Olas. Okay.
yeah. So heartily enjoying it, right? I'm gonna turn my camera around real quick
Yes,
to
please
so
do,
you
bro.
can see
Please
this
do.
view.
You have the view of a lifetime. Sheesh.
You
So,
can kind of maybe see the ocean back there.
yeah, yep. So for everyone watching who doesn't have the pleasure of being outside or being in warm weather, I apologize. He just kind of teased y'all.
That's what people always say to me, man. They
Yeah.
get tight of me for posting these sun pictures.
So, as you put the phone down, I saw your little mason jar there.
Oh
What
yeah.
what do you have in there? I know I'm always following. You're always drinking some celery juice, some beet juice, some carrot juice. What's in there?
Yeah, so that's a thyme tea.
Time
So
tea.
thyme is a really good herb that has like antiviral, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, all those type of things, properties. So it's really good for immunity. And so I like just drinking that throughout the day.
Dope. I probably poured like half a bag of thyme in the turkey soup I made yesterday, bro. I was
Oh,
like,
great.
more in there. Thyme
That's
is
a good one for sure.
yeah, it's one of my favorite herbs to cook with. I put it on my eggs. I put it on in soups.
Yeah,
If I cook any sort of meat, like turkey or anything like that, I'll put it in there. Even vegetables like if I'm making like a stir fry, toss it on.
absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. It's really good flavor in a lot of good dishes.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So now I want to dive into your kind of your mindset on nutrition. Where do you stand? What
Yeah.
is your lifestyle? I got the Eat Good, Live Good shirt. I wore that because of you, honestly. So I was
I
like, you
love
know what, we're
that.
definitely gonna chat about this. He's diving deep
Yeah.
into the nutrition knowledge. So I want to know what
Yeah.
you're doing on a daily basis. Where do you stand?
Yeah. I mean, I guess to start off, that's a loaded question. I don't even know where to
Sure.
start, but to just pick one
Yeah.
random fragment that I could start off with, I like to think of nutrition in terms of building blocks. So you got building block type nutrients, and then you got energy type nutrients.
Okay.
So the building blocks are going to be your minerals, your vitamins, the different compounds around the body, or that just exist in nature that are critical for your body to perform all these different functions, right? And then so the energy aspect is not the minerals, not the vitamins. It's more the carbs, the fats, the protein, those things that have actual energy to them that give your body like ATP and all that type of stuff to actually churn the systems, you know. So thinking about it like that, I want to incorporate as many building blocks as I can because in this day and age, all the food devoid of nutrients, devoid of all the things that our body actually needs, and higher in concentration in all that energy. Right? Right. So you got basically a whole host of people that are eating, filling their energy requirement past what they actually need, but never actually getting the building blocks that their body actually needs for optimal functioning.
Yeah.
And
So from a
yeah,
cellular level, right? Their cellular level, the cells have ATP to operate, but they don't have the required nutrients to say build a proper cell membrane or
exactly.
to have a apoptosis within their mitochondria that's,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
allowing it to be healthier, not just put out energy, right? Like
Exactly.
there's cars from
Exactly.
the 60s that still run, right? But like they don't necessarily have, the best looking engine. They're just kind of getting through, right? They're just
Right.
making things happen. They're just moving the wheels, but that doesn't mean it's efficient. That doesn't mean that it's
Exactly.
going to be optimal from a longevity standpoint. So I like that. I haven't really heard
Exactly.
that breakdown. That makes it really simple for people, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I don't really appreciate overcomplication of stuff because at the end of the day, that just makes the application less feasible to a lot of people, less accessible to a lot of people, because you break it down into so many different parts that people don't really know where to start. They get overwhelmed, and then they just end up not really doing much.
They go back to old habits, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when you kind of paint it in a picture that's really easy to understand and maybe that incorporates some elements of like traditional perspectives, then
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot more accessible for people and it's a lot easier to apply.
Because then there's a comparison, right? There's something I know and there's something I don't, and there's a way to mesh them together, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that as a coach is like one of the most important principles to understand. Like no matter what you coach, you really got to understand how to bring people where you want to take them.
It's a psychology game more than anything. You have to
Yeah,
understand the psychological habits and the psychological breakdown and process of humans, which is the hardest thing because there's so many different there's so many different
yeah,
ways to learn and so many different ways of communicating things. So it's an ever
exactly,
learning process for sure.
exactly, exactly.
Um, from your particular day to day nutrition, can you
Yeah,
paint a picture? Can you paint a picture of that? Like you wake up, what are you eating?
yeah. So I'm not eating once I wake up. I actually make sure to get some hot tea in me, whether that's like a thyme tea or like sometimes I even like making a cilantro tea because it's really good for detoxing the body. Ginger is a really good one to get that digestive fire going, but really just anything that's going to promote your digestive juices to kind of start flowing and basically warming up your digestion just like you would warm up your muscles.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I'm really adamant about that. Also for the hydration purposes of it, that's super important to make sure you get liquids in first thing because you just spent 8 hours without consuming any liquids. So
Yeah,
super important.
for sure. First thing when I wake up, water, 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 water. Um,
Yeah.
undoubtedly super important, and it's a quick way to just get some of your water intake. For most people, they're completely dehydrated.
So dehydrated, man. I mean, I went years not understanding how hydrated I should actually be. And now that I think I have like more so what it really means to be hydrated, like my life has changed
It's wild.
like crazy. Yeah.
What's the biggest difference that you've noticed?
Uh, Superficially, my skin is like super like fluid and like no cracks in it. Like when you used to get down to my legs, like my shins, they would be super dry and cracked, and it so it definitely shows in my skin how much hydration matters.
Biggest organ
Not
in
to
the
mention,
body, you know?
yeah, not to mention all the other like performance benefits, like higher energy levels, better sleep, like all those types of things.
Less
Water improves everything.
less hunger, uh,
Yes, exactly,
improved
exactly.
excretion of shit that you may be taking in, right?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, so getting back into my diet, that's a good segue. I basically try and limit all the excess shit as much as I can. So things like processed foods, like all the toxins that come in there, those foods also that are devoid of nutrients and super high in energy. Yeah, because at the end of the day, all that stuff is extra baggage that your body needs to take the energy to process, to remove. And that honestly, when you look at the cost benefit, it doesn't really make sense to be eating that kind of food.
Yeah. The ROI is so low, right? It's like
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So what I found is that through mostly juicing like 5, 6, I'd say probably 16-ounce glasses a day of different types of juices, different combinations. I'd say that sustains me way better than any meals can, any solid meals can. I mean, I'm still at a place where I'll have like 1 to 2 solid meals a day, like maybe like brown rice and beans and like some kind of chickpea fritter. That's what I made last night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like to limit myself in terms of the solid food because I know that's coming more from like a cultural and kind of like an enjoyment standpoint, because we don't need it. We don't need solid food. Like I said, we need those nutrients in the two categories that I mentioned before. And you can get all of that from just juicing all day.
So are you completely plant-based?
Mostly, although I won't like, if I'm going out like to a nice restaurant, they have like some high quality meat, like everybody else is partaking. Like I'm not gonna limit myself in that way, you know?
No, I agree. I stay so void of low quality meat. Like that's the biggest thing people will talk to me about. They're like, yo, you didn't eat meat for 2 years and now all of a sudden you eat meat, and or people are like, oh, how do you not go out and grab this at that place? And I'm like, because it's shit. I mean, it's low quality. They're selling it for a low price because they bought it for a really low price, because it took no money to raise that animal, and
Exactly.
it's factory farmed. Like anything like that, I don't want factory farmed fruits and vegetables. Even like
Exactly.
it's so hard to avoid, but they're just so void of, like you said, those nutrients. There's a lot of energy in them, but they've lost the minerals and the vitamins. They're picked early. They don't have enough time to absorb the nutrients. And that's why I'm also huge on supplementation. And I don't know if you are. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Do you want to dive into that? You do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting more and more into it. I definitely supplement with the vitamin D. I think that's one of the most important, especially if you have darker pigmentation like me. Like I can sit out in the sun all day and I'll get my blood tested and I'm still low in vitamin D. So this lifestyle just really isn't conducive to getting much sun exposure.
Yeah, and it's not directly correlated with like living in a sunny place, right? Because how many people in South Florida don't even go outside, right? They sit in their little freaking AC rooms and they waste the reason that they moved here. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I talk about that all day.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then on the other hand, if you can remember and flash back to 2014, your first freaking winter in New England, the seasonal depression is like real. It's so
that stuff is crazy, man.
And a lot of it is due to the lack of vitamin D, which we call more so a hormone than a vitamin, right? It's
exactly
so linked to testosterone production and cortisol reduction and serotonin and melatonin. It's related to all of those things.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, to finish answering your question, that's the one I take religiously. Some other stuff I might kind of use more so as like a performance boost at a certain period in time. So like if I want a really good night's sleep, I'll take some magnesium pills. Or like if I'm kind of trying to adjust my time zones, I'll take some melatonin at a specific time before I go to bed. Things like that are more so geared towards optimizing performance, more so than like maintaining my wellness. Because I'm really a proponent of the simpler the better. And once you master those simple basics, then kind of branching out into the other more complex stuff, you know?
For sure. So I'll give you my little template of nutrition and how I go about it. You have energy and you have your building blocks. I have basically a pyramid starting with the base. You need something really solid and foundational. So I talk about the quality of the nutrients that you're taking in, making sure that they're filled with just as much building blocks as they are energy, right? So like not having, the first worry that I have with anybody is that they're taking in more high quality nutrients. And I don't want to be once again, a coach that's telling people to take stuff out before I tell them to put stuff in, right? So
exactly.
The idea is, okay, let's just add more quality nutrients into your body.
Right.
That's kind of like base level one. Step two for me is the quantity. If you get a base level of of that, then we can talk about the quantity of each one, right? What
Right.
food groups are you putting in your system? Which ones do we need to focus on more and less of? And where can we find that good ratio for you, what you're looking for from a performance output, from a weight loss, whatever it may be standpoint. Then I talk about the timing. So if you can get the quality and the quantity down, then I think we're in a position where we can talk about nutrient timing, whether it's waking up, going to bed, fasting, intermittent, before bed, all of those different before workouts, after workouts, all of those things. And then the last one that I talk about at the pinnacle of the pyramid is support. So supplementation, nutraceutical, addition to fill those gaps, essentially.
That makes a lot of sense to me, man. I like that a lot. It's basically like a Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah, similar. Yep, exactly. And
that makes a lot of sense.
And it is broad spectrum, and like there's a lot in each foundation, but nonetheless it paints a picture for like what's really important, and how do you go about teaching someone is kind of in those 4 steps, because most people come to you and they want that 4th step, like what else can I say?
Yes, exactly, and that's, again, I think our job as coaches is to teach people that the simpler stuff gets the job done. The simpler stuff gets that 99% done.
Yeah, it's education. We become educators for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Now from a training standpoint, you are currently still kind of working towards your performance as a professional high jumper, right? So like you're taking a very specific path, I would assume, right, in your training regimen. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? What does that look like from maybe like a weekly standpoint? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so I mean, I have like any regular like tri-phasic kind of regimen, where you have the different undulating phases, like volume increases, intensity increases, and vice versa. But basically, on any given week, like if I'm in like, let's say like a more sport specific kind of prep cycle, like I'll do a lot of really explosive movements that kind of mimic jumping. So like I'll get in light power cleans, moving the bar super fast. I'll get into some squat jumps with light weight on the bar. Really just stuff to kind of maintain my elasticity, and maintain a low weight while I'm also basically improving my power and strength like crazy. So kind of just like that weight to power ratio, kind of increasing that.
Going with that and trying to maybe increase the density of the muscle with type 2 fibers and
exactly.
Like cool.
Exactly.
Your height and weight, where do you even stand? I don't even know.
I'm 6'3" 185.
Okay, cool.
And so in college, I was 6'3", 200.
Woo!
But but a lot of lifestyle changes since then, and I dropped 15 pounds, and I'm just as strong, and I'm faster, jump higher, etc. So
probably less inflammation in the joints, all of it.
Way less inflammation, just way less baggage on my body that didn't really contribute to any function or anything like that. So people oftentimes think that like just because you're super low body fat and have a lot of muscle, that means you're the optimum weight, and just like the optimal body composition. But I find that not to be true at all.
Interesting. I like that approach. And a lot of it comes down to genetics too. Like some people can really look like they're, $185 at 8% body fat, and then there's a lot of people that can be 180 at 12% body fat and look better, right?
Yeah.
Look better from a cultural appealing standpoint.
Yeah, exactly.
It's strange. So when you talk about your performance and your power and your workouts, are you strictly just doing like barbell, dumbbell, free weights type lifting? Or are you, what do you, do you explore anything else? Like, there's so many different freaking like fitness methods out there, and
Yeah.
things. What are some things you get into and like to explore?
Yeah, I mean, first off, before we get into again the more complicated movements,
Yeah.
I like to really focus on my breathing patterns and my core orientation, and more specifically, how my spine is orientated and how it's able to fluidly move. I know that's kind of a lot right there, but I think those things are at the base of all movement. Breath patterns, how your spine is aligned, your control over your center of mass. Those are like some of the principles that I see that are not only consistent in movement, but also in mindfulness and more meditative practices.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I like to bridge that gap between the mind and the body, between mindfulness and exercise.
I always used to say, and I had a really awesome mentor from Brandeis University, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when I was an athletic training student there, Jason Burns, shout out. He was an awesome athletic trainer and mentor for me. And he basically would talk about bridging the gap between training and rehabilitation and performance. And the ability for your spine, your ribs, your diaphragm, and all of your core musculature to withstand and be able to manage pressure
Exactly.
determines compensation, determines performance and power output. So all of those things are a result, and efficiency is really the name of the game, right? So the more efficient that cylindrical core foundation of us can be, I'm assuming is how you look at it, the more efficient everything else will be, right?
Yeah, and taking it, that's actually exactly it. But taking it one layer deeper, putting the mind into the body, like actually conducting your mind in your tissues, that's how you're able to get even more gains and really, really kind of stretch your possibilities and your ceiling, because when your mind is in it, it's limitless, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Right. So that's where I think I differ from a lot of other like personal trainers or like movement coaches, is that I really bring those like more Eastern kind of just less traditional practices into movement and into training.
Dope. So how do you practice that stuff yourself? What is your day-to-day kind of like working on breathing and meditating? What does that stuff look like for you then?
Yeah, so every morning and every night, I'll sit down and meditate. I'll sit in lotus position with my hips a little bit elevated because I'm still working on my hip mobility. But I'll basically
you have long ass limbs too, so it's not easy.
Exactly. I'm getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do that. I'll sit like anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, like whenever I like sit to meditate. But I'm basically focusing on this point in the body that Taoists call lower dantian. And it's basically like 3 inches beneath your belly button, right in front of your tailbone in your pelvis. It's like a little swirling ball, and you just bring your attention to that energy there. And
is that similar to like the root chakra? Is that
exactly? Very, very similar idea.
Okay.
So that's what my practice there looks like. Otherwise, I'll just bring awareness to my breath, like literally 24/7. So like I'm a big proponent of, if you can control your breath, you can stay in control of anything that's going on in your day to day. So I started off like bringing awareness, like for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. But now I literally do it all the time. Like I'll notice myself slipping sometimes if like there's a lot of stimulation, a lot going around me, but like I bring myself back. I'm like, wait, like let me calm myself down and bring myself back, you know?
Yeah, no, I was lucky enough to kind of develop that, and I've lost touch with it recently for sure, um, more so than I had before, and
Yeah,
it definitely comes back to bite you. It's one of those
yeah,
things. Once you eat good food, like, and you understand how that makes you feel, you can't go back, bro. Like, you have no
yeah,
desire to do that. Um,
yeah,
and it
exactly.
feels so shitty when I mean
Yeah,
that happens in so many different things and areas of health and wellness. When you realize that, you know, moving and working out every day is so beneficial for you, and it doesn't really drain as much energy out of you as you think it would. It actually gives you energy. You understand, like, okay, I just need to move a little bit here and there, 5-10 minutes, you know, maybe 2-3 times a day, maybe
absolutely.
even more, or sometimes that structured and, you know, 1 hour, hour and a half workout, whatever it may be. That's funny. So where did you learn all of the breathing mechanisms, and who do you kind of study under? Where did that all come from?
Yeah, so my coach at Tufts for high jump, actually, he is just finishing up acupuncture school, getting his licensing and whatnot. He's been a huge mentor for me. And honestly, I attribute a lot of my open mindedness and just like openness to all these other kind of modalities that are like not Western.
Yeah,
I attribute that a lot to him and his influence
that's
because
awesome.
he he really immerses himself in the culture that he studies himself. So he just really led by example, and I kind of followed suit in a lot of those ways.
Nice. And that's very much how I feel in a sense. Jason was huge for me at Brandeis.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it was able to, you know, lead to, once again, kind of like, well, that's interesting, let me go look up more. And the more you start to look, the more you start to learn, the more you start to, like,
exactly.
find other people that believe in the same thing, and
Yeah,
undoubtedly you experience it more, and then you start to do it for yourself. Do you
yeah.
do anything like I watched, I sent someone a Wim Hof video today. Are you familiar, and have you done any of that? What's your
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the method. I haven't really done it consistently at all myself, but the science and like anecdotally, like it definitely all checks out. Like
Yeah.
I definitely am behind it.
Mhm.
In terms of the practice I use, it's more so centered on reducing your breathing volume. So I read this book called The Oxygen Advantage by
Mhm.
Patrick McCone. He's just breathing. He's a doctor, but he specializes in breathing. And he's basically cured people of obesity, of diabetes, and also just gotten regular people to kind of just like improve their lives and just accomplish like these different athletic feats. But basically, he's coached them to do that through breathing
Yeah.
and reducing their breathing volume. So to tell you a little bit more about that, a lot of people tend to expand their whole rib cage and
Mhm.
take in a lot more air than we're meant to take in.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's sat down for 5 seconds, just paying attention to their breath, will see that when they slow it down and let it come from deeper, it's a lot calmer and there's a lot less breath coming in and out.
Yeah.
But when you're kind of in that stressed out state, your shoulders shrugged like a lot of people tend to be, then you're gonna breathe in a lot more air than you actually should. And so basically what that does is more oxygen means more oxidation to
Yes.
all of your cells, and that's gonna be more damage.
Yeah, and
So
for
yeah,
some people that might be listening, right, oxidation is the thing that makes metal rust. It's the thing that makes rocks erode. It's the thing that causes your food to decompose, right?
yeah,
Oxidation,
exactly.
oxygen is killing us. Slowly but
Yeah,
surely, from the second we came out the womb, oxygen has been killing us.
yeah, which is a funny concept for people to grasp.
Yes, yeah, it totally is. So that's dope. I like that. And as you were explaining that, I took a second to focus on that, that lower portion of the chakra, or that lower chakra, that root area. And I took a breath, and it felt as if I had almost an immediate alignment of my spine. And I didn't feel like I needed to inhale for some of my musculature in my back, which is currently a little sore from what I did yesterday, to ease up in pressure and automatically kind of feel less tension.
Yep, exactly.
Super interesting. I like that. Do you practice like a rep, an in and out and hold count? Like there's the box breathing of 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. I teach something to my clients called LT360. I just kind of named it that myself, with the idea that I've had so many clients that can't do a simple like box breath, right? So I reduced it down. Instead of doing 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold, I do 3 in, 3 hold, 3 out. And then I'll start to add in the 3 again after you exhale, because that's the hardest thing for people to do, hold your breath with oxygen. So
exactly.
try to build people into that box breathing, and then doing things like 4-7-8 is a good one that a lot of people practice. So what do you practice anything like that?
This is awesome, man. We are very similar. Because to kind of elaborate a little bit more on the stuff I learned from Oxygen Advantage, a lot of the work I do is centered around basically increasing your tolerance for an air shortage in the body. So being okay, telling your body that you're safe and comfortable without with less air, than again that you would usually take, because that's going to make you more efficient. That's going to make all your body systems run more efficiently, because everything runs on oxygen, right? So like, to give you an example of this is an exercise I love to do, whether you're an athlete or an elderly. It's called breast hold walks. So you will basically plug your nose, walk a certain amount of steps, and then when you feel like you have created like a medium to strongish air shortage, like you're getting those sensations that you want to breathe, then you're going to let go of your nose. You're going to keep on walking, but you want to keep your breath nice and light and controlled, rather than kind of inhaling super hard. And then you basically just continue that every minute. You're going to hold your breath, and you just go see over time how much longer you can hold your breath for.
That's dope. So I was doing this with a client earlier today, and I was doing it with him actually in a decompressed position in an inversion table. Then when he lays in the inversion table, his ribs are so that's all good. His ribs are so flared, man. They are probably, if I had to guesstimate how much further they are out than his ASIS, it's probably close to 3 inches.
Man,
when he lays in that, I think it's a solid 120 degrees, right? His ribs are probably about 3 inches out from his ASIS. And
that's crazy, man.
It's it's all good. It's pretty ridiculous. But getting him to a point where he was taking nice long deep breaths, inhaling, exhaling, then getting to the point where, okay, now on your exhales, I want you to release as much air as you possibly can. And I want you to basically get to that point where your external obliques are starting to bridge that gap between your 12th rib and your ASIS, right? Pulling your ribs towards your hips.
Right.
And after 5, 6, 7 of those breaths, saying, okay, Now for the next 3, I want you to hold your breath for as long as you can after the exhale. So you get to that position, you find the tension in your external obliques, then you decompress and you try to just let your mind forget about inhaling. And the trick that I've found when you get, so you can practice this maybe, and you already do with your walking trick. If you're walking, you get to that point where you're like, I kind of want to breathe. And people, if you don't understand, your heart will start to race a little bit. Like, come on, breathe, hurry up. You need to breathe. Survival mechanism, right? So the idea is to get more in touch with your nervous system, be able to control the norepinephrine and epinephrine and all of that stuff from releasing, cortisol, whatever. I can get really deep into it, but if you feel like you need to breathe, the trick I tell people is to swallow. And that stimulates your vagus nerve.
Right.
And that will automatically create a sense of comfortability for just a hair longer. You can get maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds longer with the swallowing just your own friggin' saliva. It's
smart, man.
I forget even where I picked that up, but it helps tremendously, bro. So if you have someone struggling and you want to try to get them to maybe push beyond a plateau or one of those barriers that they're hitting, that's a really, really good way to do it, is to teach them to swallow when they feel like they need to breathe again.
Yeah, I'm going to try that myself.
No, definitely do. Let me know how that goes, because I found it to be super effective.
Yeah, and I can see how that would work already, because it's not just your heart racing, it's your actual breathing muscles that are trying to contract to get that air in when you're holding your breath. So I can definitely see how a swallow would probably like relax them for a quick sec.
Yeah, it basically stimulates them to forget about the breathing contraction, but to instead be used for the digestive contractions.
That's great. That's great.
We have, who would have thought, right? Like random, we had no idea what we were getting into at 2:00 getting on this call.
Yeah, seriously. I've been running into this a lot, honestly, like meeting random ass people that tend to align with me so like crazy well. Like my roommate actually and my business partner, he is so similar to me. We met like a couple years ago. He was raised in Boston. He went to a school very similar to Tufts, Haverford. Maybe you might know it.
I don't think so. No.
In Philadelphia.
Okay.
But yeah, also played basketball and track. Had a history of like injuries, wanted to kind of change how people viewed wellness, et cetera, et cetera. So long story short, we're working towards the same vision now.
That's awesome. So what is that vision? What is the business? I want everyone to know that as well. I feel like that.
Yeah. So
me included, I don't know.
Yeah. So our company is Mind Your Movement. And our whole MO is basically just empowering people through being more aware of their bodies. Because as you said, once you tap into the powers of the body, it's limitless, right? And so that's what we really believe at Mind Your Movement. So we do that through like all these different movement programs and nutrition kind of advice and guidelines and stuff like that. We have like a patented system that we like to kind of transform people through.
That's dope. How long ago did this kind of start? Was this while you were in New York you started this?
While I was in New York, right after school, really, I kind of like started like it didn't really go by Mind Your Movement. Mind Your Movement is kind of like a newer thing, like maybe like a few months, actually, like 6 months. But I've been putting in like the baseline work for like 2.5 years now since college.
That's what's up, and that's people don't realize it takes like a solid 2 to 5 years of building a foundation before anything gets off the ground. And people just think like, no, I'm going to start this and like, I'm good. I'll just quit my job like next month. Yeah, right.
I mean, that's what I was thinking the whole time. Like, my mom was always saying, like, it's gonna take a while to build this up. I was like, nah, like I know the formula to create a good business. Like this shit's gonna be easy. Lo and behold, like it's not easy.
It
It's
takes
simple but not easy. Like it
it's
takes a lot.
simple. It is simple without a doubt, but there's a time aspect, and you can't rush
Yeah.
time. Time takes time. You know
You,
what I'm saying? You can't
you
do it.
can't rush time. You,
No,
you
bro.
just got to be comfortable with where you're at in every part of the journey, man. That's
Yes.
that's how you manifest the best when you're completely content with everything you have at this point in time.
And to bring everything kind of full circle, right? The ability to tune into your nervous system, the ability to tune into your muscles and your chakras, and your ability to manage pressure from a physical standpoint absolutely is a result of your ability to manage pressure from a mental standpoint and
Yep.
from a soul standpoint, right? Like it it all comes
Yep. Yep.
so it all comes together like insanely. It's wild. So
Yeah.
5 years out.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Oh, well, I was just going to kind of speak on a little bit more about mind your movement. So I
Yeah.
actually have a similar kind of system explanation that you had with your nutrition in
Cool.
terms of the pyramid. Yeah. So in terms of movement, transforming people through movement,
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of nutrition to be at the very baseline
Boom.
because without the proper minerals, vitamins, energy your body needs, your movement is going to suffer and you're not really going to be able to move, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and then from there you get into thought patterns. If your thought patterns don't align with how you really want to move, which for most people I think should be to have a fluid, able body,
Yeah.
capable of anything they ask it to. But the thing is, a lot of people have these thought patterns that go against that.
Mm-hmm.
Thought patterns like, oh, I'm getting old, so my knees should hurt, or oh, I play football, so like I should have all this pain throughout my body all the time.
Yeah.
That's a limited mindset. It
Yep.
doesn't go hand in hand with what we want to achieve out of our movement. So you have nutrition, you have thoughts, and then you get into breath. As we already talked about,
Yep.
breath creating and maintaining that pressure, that light but consistent pressure within the torso, and really using that to connect your mind to your body. And then after breath, you get into the actual movement kind of pieces. So it's like more static movements, like just standing on one leg, holding postures, and then you get into more and more dynamic movements all the way up to the complexity of something like sprinting.
Yeah. So in a sense,
And so that's
it almost takes that like NASM approach at the top, right? Where it's like stability, right? You have isometric type movements and utilization
yeah,
of muscle and joints, and then you would have the ability to dynamically show off that stabilization, right? And then
exactly.
from there, power, strength, all of those things come together at the top. That's dope. I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I mean, so the most important parts are the ones at the bottom that I think
Without a
are
doubt.
very overlooked.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
You cannot be a powerful athlete without anything in the bottom. Um, and the sad part is there's a lot. I've worked in the professional athlete realm, and I've seen a lot of people that don't have those things to a super efficient level. And it's like, damn, just imagine where they could be if that wasn't the case.
yeah,
um, it's crazy. I mean, just trying and it takes a long time for athletes to be open-minded to this stuff. You know,
yeah.
we were both college athletes, but I don't know if you can think back to your team, but I know damn well my team, I was one of maybe two people that really that really was open-minded and thoughtful on
Yeah,
this.
definitely. Same.
Yeah, it's tough because then you also try to like be that light. You're like, all right, I'm gonna be the one that kind of sets the tone and pushes the way, and people just don't want to. They have no desire to.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gets tiring, but you got to really just understand that as a thought leader, as somebody who's trying to be an influencer, you got to lead the way and not give a fuck if people look at you funny.
Yep.
Like, you just got to stay true and consistent with your vision and your goals, and then eventually people will start following.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's the other thing, that when it comes to business, when it comes to having that desire to influence people and move people in a different direction from a large, societal standpoint and cultural standpoint, you have to understand that the only thing that gives you more recognition and the only thing that gives people more of a reason to trust you is the time that you put into it. And you can't rush that.
Yeah, you literally can't rush it.
Can't rush that, bro. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've been at it for 5 years, people are like, damn, you're still doing that? Damn, like, I would have thought that was going to end. You're like, nah, nope, I was 100% serious about it. They're like, oh, what? So what? Explain it to me again, right? And they become more intrigued. Now they become more thoughtful about what you might be presenting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy because I actually just had an IG live with my good friend from New York. He has this podcast called Mental Brunch. So he talks about like all things like thoughts and how it dictates. Yeah. Exactly. And so that dude has the same exact perspective that you just gave. He literally said that word for word to me before, like about how like as you build your business, just got a time after like about 5 years, people see you're still doing it. They're like, oh, that means he's serious. Like,
yes.
So it's just funny. Things come in full circle like that.
100%. Maybe I'll reach out to him. Maybe we can connect as well. Like I said, I got to connect you with a couple of people I already know you would hit it off with.
Absolutely.
So I think undoubtedly we could sit here and talk for another hour about so many different things. But
yeah, definitely.
I think in the meantime we should definitely try to find a way to link up and chat, do a workout, play ball. I go down and play ball in Weston every week. So I definitely invite you to come play ball with me and one of my old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, please do, bro. One of my
100%,
old college teammates. So that would be
Yo,
sick.
man, do you know Garvin Charles?
Garvin? Yeah.
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 Why you say it like that?
Garvin. Yeah, he Garvin actually.
So he
because I was like, I know that name, and I'm trying to think why I know that name, because a face didn't pop up in my head. But Garvin worked at Gravity and Oxygen in Boca, because he went to FAU. Yep. So I met Garvin.
Yeah, Garvin is one of my best friends.
That's crazy. He was the first person I met from Gravity and Oxygen. And I had met him at a Starbucks, bro. He was handing out flyers for like a new Thanksgiving Day workout or New Year's workout or something like that. And I'm at Starbucks doing my schoolwork for nutrition, and I was getting a green tea, and he was standing there, and he came in and like was trying to ask one of the people like, hey, can I put some of these flyers up with one of the other workers from Gravity and Oxygen? And I started talking to them like, yo, where's this place at, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm a manager of Gravity and Oxygen. So
yeah, bro, that's so crazy. This world is so funny, small. Like I love that. I love that.
How did you grow up with Garvin? You went to high school with him.
I met him playing travel basketball in high school.
Okay.
So like ever since then, like we've been like really, really tight.
That's wild. So funny, bro. So
funny. Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
But
I forget where we digressed from, but
I think
definitely let's link up.
Yeah, I'm down to link up and play ball. Like I said, I'm gonna have a shirt for you too, so I'll link up at the least and get that to you. But I'd love to hit maybe Fort Lauderdale Beach and work out or something. Right, it's right at the end of your street.
Absolutely.
I haven't been down there in a while. I've been thinking about the fact that I need to go over there and work out. So,
Bro, this place is amazing. Like, I don't know if you see my stories sometimes, but the gym is incredible. Like the jacuzzis too. Like we could come bull in there, have like a recovery oriented day. Like
hell yeah.
we could definitely bull here. Like we'll text after this.
All right, yeah, I'm down, bro. I'm so down, and we definitely will hop on another podcast for sure. Cause
Oh yeah.
We'll do it in person next time. We'll do it like at the beach or at your spot or something like that.
Yeah, there's these workspaces too that could be mad nice for that. We'll figure it out, bro.
All right, I'm amped, bro. I appreciate your time today. This was anything and everything more than I probably could have imagined walking into it. I didn't know what to expect.
Same here, man. Same here.
So, I appreciate you, man. The last thing, you got to tell everybody where they can follow you and where they can learn more about you and where they can learn more about Mind Your Movement, all of that. Put it out there for the world.
Yeah, so you can follow me at Duvivier, Duvi on Instagram. And site is my first. All the articles I posted, you can read all the different workouts that I kind of put my clients through. But until you actually feel these principles and concepts for yourself, you're not really going to completely understand what I'm saying. So I definitely want you guys to check out Mind Your Basics. It's my 12-week program where I'm linking those mindfulness aspects that Dylan and I talked about with training and with quote unquote corrective exercise. So I highly recommend the program, and I know it's going to do a lot for a lot of people.
Hell yeah, man. Definitely go check that out. Everything he's talked about has been checked off 100%. Knows what he's doing. Definitely got a good heart behind him as well. He's driven by principles, which you have to love and is first and foremost. So thank you once again, bro. Stefan, appreciate you. It was a pleasure finally getting to chat with you and meet you.
Yes, sir. Likewise. We'll chat very soon, man.
Yes, absolutely. We'll talk on the phone after this. And for everybody watching, go follow him, subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you got to do. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, be limitless. Peace out.
Yes, sir. Peace.
What's up, LT Tribe? DFOS here, just to express my gratitude and say thank you for tuning in and continuously commenting, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the episodes and the content that we are bringing you. It is helping so much. Once again, I want to say thank you and hope you have a great rest of your day. DFOS here with another important sponsor. This one is awesome. It is a way to get high quality meat delivered straight to your door by Rastelli's Meat Market. It was established in 1976. They are now a global leader in the highest quality meat. And it is awesome. If you are an unfranchised owner like myself, you can earn anywhere from 22 to 27.5% IBV on your orders. And if you are a customer through shop.com/Limitless Theory, you can also earn cash back every time you buy your high quality meats for you and your family. Not only can you get filet mignon and burgers and chicken, but you can also get salmon and tuna and shrimp and even a combination of regular meat and seafood. So make sure to check out Rastelli's, but most of all, check out shop.com/Limitless Theory to learn more. What's up, Limitless Theory Tribe? Hope you enjoyed the episode. I wanted to take a second to give you an opportunity to save 10% off on anything in the Limitless Theory apparel store. Everything from beach towels to coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and tank tops, and much more. New styles rolling out all the time. Use code LT10 at checkout for 10% off. LT10 at checkout, all capitalized, for 10% off anything Limitless Theory apparel related. And all you have to do is take a picture and tag us so that you can get 10% off again next time. Peace. DFOS here. I know y'all understand how much of a nutrition freak I am. And when I heard the world's most nutrient-dense food, you know I had to tune in, listen, and get learnt. So I need y'all to check out the LT360 podcast I did with Catherine Arnston, the founder of Energy Bits, an algae-based nutrition company. It is not a supplement, it is a one-ingredient superfood, and it is recognized as the most nutrient-dense food on the planet by the World Health Organization and others. So go check out energybits.com and make sure to use the discount code Limitless Theory at checkout for 20% off. You will not be disappointed because you will have the most nutrient-dense food in your pantry in the world. Go check it out now. Peace. D. Foss here. If you're anything like me, you love free 99. That's why I want you to head over to thelimitlesstheory.com/free. I dedicated this portion of my website to specifically give you free tips, tricks, resources to check out and use for free, and also give you an opportunity to support other small local business owners like myself who have often already been on my podcast and you may already know. So head over to thelimitlesstheory.com/free to see what free 99 can do for you.